Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and to another video. I hope everyone is doing well mentally, emotionally, spiritually and physically. Just before we get into it today, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who messaged me to see how I'm doing, to just encourage me and to just send love my way after the last video. I'm so grateful for you all. I really appreciate those messages. Before I keep rambling, let me get into it, but don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and become part of the family and just engage with us, talk to us, let us know how you're feeling, let us know how you're doing, let us know how 2020 is supposed to be going for you, but you know, all of that stuff. We just love hearing from everybody. I'm hearing from everybody, so let's get into it. I feel like by now when you guys see this book, you should know it's about to get hella serious. We're about to talk serious business. But no, today it's just gonna be, I'm just gonna be reading from my Bible and then just sharing with you what's been on my heart these last couple of days. Okay, so what my message is called, or the title of my message rather, is God is still in the business of doing the impossible. And I know this is probably a topic that's been done over and over again, where we've learned about the miracles that Jesus did and all the miracles that the prophets were able to do in the Old Testament, due to, you know, the power that God gave them and all of that good stuff. But today my message is along the same things, but it's very it's just the subtle miracles that we don't really pay much attention to, the subtle miracles that for me I thought were huge and deserve to be spoken about more. So, you know, we know the obvious. We know Jesus turned water into wine. We know he fed the 5,000. We know just even Jesus's birth, how that was a miracle because he was born from a virgin. We know all of that stuff. But I just wanted to share some very interesting and very subtle miracles that we often forget to pay attention to. So the first one I'm going to talk about is actually from David and Goliath story, and that's coming from 1 Samuel 17 verse 49. So, you know the background about it. You know how people were afraid of the Philistines because they had Goliath, who was like this huge, really big dude, and it just, you know, yeah, we know it. But the verse I want to pay attention to is verse 49, which says, "He slung it and struck the Philistine in his forehead, so that the stone sank into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the earth." Oh God, I get so nervous now to share about the word because I'm so scared to convey the wrong message, and I'm so scared to preach. I'm so scared to give the wrong interpretation, but I just read the Bible the way that I see it, and I feel like that's how we should do it anyway. Sometimes people can read the same scripture and not get the same thing. But anyways, I want us to focus on the way that Goliath fell, right? So first of all, let's look at the person that God used. The person that God used to fight the giants. That was someone who was young, someone who was considered weak, and someone who was underestimated by everybody. So this was something that God deliberately did to kind of prove that his power is not in man's might, but rather in him, and that's why he empowered David to be able to face the giant. So David doesn't wear the armor that the king, was it Saul? I think it was Saul, that he gave him to wear, right? He tried running and it wasn't working, and then he took it off, right? Now that we've looked at the person that God used, let's focus on the physics behind Goliath's fall, which is so ironic considering some of us did not do that well in physics, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway, right? So physics and gravity and all of that, that's what I'm basically just gonna talk about. Let's assume, just to humor everybody, let's assume that the force of the stone is what caused Goliath to fall, which we all know it wasn't, because the stone was this big and the dude was that big. So obviously it wasn't the force of the stone, but let's just assume, right? Let's say the force of the stone is what caused Goliath to fall. Why then did Goliath fall forward? and not backwards. So physics says that Goliath should have fallen backwards given the direction of the force, yeah? But because our God is in the business of doing the impossible, he deliberately and intentionally defied gravity and caused Goliath to fall the other way. So to me, that's incredible, you know, like, just, it's so small, but for me, that's a miracle in itself, where you see just God at work. Like, he does like little things, you know, like, have you ever heard the statement, the devil's in the detail? I believe God is in the detail. Like, I promise you, had he fallen back, the miracle would still have been the same, that David defeated Goliath. The miracle would have been the same. But do you see that he deliberately made him fall forward? And for me, it seems like something minor, but I don't know, it just goes to further explain how God can literally do what we deem impossible. Basically, what I just get from that is, let's look at it as like not even like a physical giant. Let's look at it emotional, psychological. Let's look at just life's giants, for example, where it's financial, where it's spiritual. It, like, we face a lot of things. We fight a lot of demons that people don't know about, and like, when you look at it, it seems like it's impossible. There's no way that God will make this possible. There's no way that I'm gonna overcome this. There's no way that I'm gonna get to the other side. But you know, God steps in and he does the impossible, and he does what he does best. And that's what I love about like the God we serve. That's what I love about my God. Like, he likes to come in situations where nobody believes. He likes to step in when you're in a situation where everybody is underestimating you, underestimating his power. And that's his comfort zone. That's when he steps in, and that's what he does best. And I love that. I love that. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the second and last little miracle I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to read from 1 Kings verse 17. No. 1 Kings chapter 17 verse 1 to 7. That's the chunk of what I want to talk about, but the verse I want to pay attention to is verse 4, and it says, "And it will be that you shall drink from the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed you there." Yes, of course, that in itself was a miracle, because during that time it was when Elijah had commanded that there would be a drought and the land will be dry and all of that stuff. But God provided for him. He gave him water to drink. In a dry land, he provided water for him. Obviously, that's a miracle. He provided food. He never knew where his next meal would come from. Like, that was probably something he was thinking, what am I going to eat? But God provided every single meal. God never, ever, ever disappointed. He provided a meal. And that, of course, is a miracle. But let's look at the little details. Why am I saying there's a little detail in the raven delivering food? Here's what you may not know about ravens. Ravens are scavengers. Ravens do not recognize their young. This is because if you look at the feathers of a raven, they're glossy black. But when a raven is a baby raven, the feathers don't look the same, so they're not as glossy. So because of that fact, ravens do not recognize their young. So to them, it's like, who are you? So because of that reason, they don't feed their young. They abandon their young because they do not recognize them or care for what is not like them. So let's just stop. Let's just analyze the situation. Elijah is human, definitely not a raven, and I'm almost 1000% sure that there was no resemblance between Elijah and the raven. But nonetheless, the raven brought him food. So if the raven doesn't look after its young, does not feed its young because it doesn't believe that there's no way this little thing, this little duck, this little ugly thing is mine. There's no way. How then does God manage to get that same creature with the same characteristics to look after his prophet, to look after his person? Like, let that sink in. Like, the raven fed Elijah. Okay, first of all, let's look at a scavenger. I think a seagull is also a scavenger. Seagulls take your food, like, they take food. And it's like, okay, monkeys are not scavengers, but you know, the same way that monkeys take your food, I want to think that that's the same way that ravens behave. So they fight for food. Like, they would fight another bird to get the food. And yet God commanded that creature to take food to Elijah. That's mind-boggling. No, dude, that is mind-boggling. I find that insane. I find that crazy that that same animal was used. And so for the period that God commanded that bird to feed Elijah, Elijah was fed. And like in your life, you're gonna lack. There's gonna be a time in your life where you lack. But God is gonna send people your way that are gonna provide. So his provision, I remember I told you when I spoke about God of seasons, I said God always has provision for you in whatever season you're in. So that provision, you may not know where it's coming from. You may not know where that money is coming from. You may not know where that next meal is coming from. But he will provide. And I think that's what's so incredible. And he will use the least likely person you think will help you to help you. And I don't know. I find such, I think the reason that I think this way is because I did divinity in high school. So we're taught to analyze scriptures. We're taught to analyze these things that we look at in the Bible. So I guess for me, that's why my mind looks at those little details, to analyze those little details in the Bible rather than just, glossing over everything and just taking it as it comes. But yeah, I just really wanted to share that with somebody, to just remind them that God will do what you will never believe. Like, he will do what you never thought he was able to do. He will help you achieve what you never thought you could achieve, right? And he will also provide for you, no matter where you are, no matter if he sends you somewhere, God will provide. Best believe God will provide. If God says, I want you to get up and go a certain direction, I want you to leave where you are comfortable, where you are financially stable, I want you to stand up from there and go to this land because I have a purpose for you in that land. When you are there, he will provide for you. When you are there, he will protect you. When you're there, he will look after you. And I think that's just something so beautiful to remember about the God that we serve. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you get something from it, and I hope that if you see another tiny miracle that you feel like we often just ignore, please do share it with me. I'm very, very keen to hear from you guys. I'm very keen to gain something from the people I'm interacting with. So thank you for watching. Have a fantastic last few weeks of your lockdown, or just thank you once again. I appreciate you all, and God bless.